Coach Onyinye, I want to start a business, but I don't know what to do. Coach Onyinye, how can I start a business? Coach Onyinye, help me. I want to start a business. You're in the right place. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you step-by-step guide on how you can start a business. Starting a business is not as complicated as most people think it is, but in order for you to start a business, you need to first of all ask yourself this question, right? What problem can I solve? What problem can I solve? What problem is prominent around me? What do people need around where I live? What services do people really seek for? Right? You need to ask yourself these questions because it's only when you solve a problem you put money in your pocket, right? So you need to help people solve their inconveniences in order for you to put money in your pocket. So you start your business by asking the right questions. What am I good at? What problem can my skills solve? What problems can my services solve, right? Where can I come in? What value do I bring? What need can I fill? On my street, nobody sells eggs. On my street, nobody sells vegetables, right? So you need to look around you. You need to really look around you and find loopholes that you can fill, find needs that you can fill, find wants that you can fill, find problems that you can solve, right? There's no salon on the next 2-3 streets, but you know how to make hair. You can help make children's hair for them to take to school. So making money always starts with solving a problem, not necessarily the product. You cannot just, let's say you see someone online who sells hair and you just say, there's money in hair, let me sell hair. It doesn't work that way, right? So don't focus on the product or service first when you want to start a business. You need to focus on the problem that you want to solve, right? What gaps can you fill? What do people complain about? People in my environment, what do they really complain about? How can I come in? Is it something I can do? So these are the questions you ask yourself if you want to start a business. Secondly, you need to use what you already have. Many people think that starting a business means you have access to huge capital, you have access to huge clientele. No, you need to use what you have. You need to start where you are and you need to do what you can. Yes. You need to use what you have, you need to start where you are, and you need to do what you can. That is what is very, very important. Start small, have the skills, but have a big vision, right? It's very important that you build the knowledge, you monitor your environment. Start with what you have, start where you are. Don't wait for that big money. Don't wait for that $1 million, 1 million naira, 500. No. What can you do? How can you start with what you currently have? Business is simply packaging what you know with what you have, with the resources you can afford. And trust me, there are businesses that you can start with the resources that you can afford. I'm going to link a video up here, right, where I spoke about businesses that you can even start with 0 naira. 0 naira, you can even start a business, right? So this is very, very, very important. Next on my list is this. You need to be ready to start small, but start properly. Start small, but start properly. Start small, but start diligently, right? It doesn't matter what the business idea is or the service idea is, but you shouldn't get discouraged because you just have one customer. Celebrate every customer that you have. Celebrate every win that you have. Let's say you're going around and washing people's bed sheets and people's curtains and people's towels and duvets. And then you spoke to 10 people and one person said, okay, come and take mine. You should celebrate that you have one customer and you should focus on delivering diligently to that person. And the thing is, reward comes where diligence exists. Once you remain diligent, reward will definitely come. You're going to have more customers and you're going to begin to grow. So a lot of people want to start a business, but they are afraid of starting small. But you need to understand that the best businesses even start small, because starting small affords you the opportunity to gain valuable experience, hands-on experience, so that when your business begins to scale, you're going to manage it properly. Right? So it's very, very important that you understand that in order for you to start a business, 95% of people would definitely have to start small. And starting small is not a problem. You're going to grow from small to medium scale, from medium scale to large scale, and you're going to even grow global. But you need to understand that starting small also means starting right, doing the right thing diligently, believing in your vision so much so that it is contagious. People see you when you talk about your vision, they're like, oh my goodness, right? You need to believe in yourself, believe in what you offer, believe in your products, believe in your service, be passionate about it, learn how to confidently talk about your small business, learn how to show up every day, right? Learn how to communicate the value that your product or your service offers. Very, very important. And next on my list is this: you need to learn how to sell. Yes. And selling is not difficult, right? I have a video on how to sell. Selling is not difficult. Selling is simply passionately showing the value that your product or your service can bring. Simple. You are showing passionately and confidently what value your service or your product brings. So that's selling. So you need to learn about sales. Go on YouTube, learn about sales. Practice makes perfect. And anything you learn, put it into practice. Find what works for you. And until you try different things before you would actually note what works for you. It's very, very important that you learn how to sell, because selling is at the core of starting a business. Whatever it is you're starting, you need to sell. Be it a service or be it a product, you have to sell. So don't be afraid of selling. Don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid of people telling you no. I always tell people no simply means next opportunity, right? It's just a redirection to another person. And you just have to keep going. So learn how to sell. It's very important that you learn how to sell. So before I go on, please do hit the like button on this video. Yes. Have you done it? Have you done it? Okay, thank you. Drop a comment as well if you're finding value. And of course, please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Up next is this: be consistent before you expect amazing results. You have to be consistent. I tell people, do the same thing repeatedly for 3 months. 90 days is always my time mark, right? Do the same thing every day for 3 months, and trust me, you're going to break through. But people don't have the consistency and the tenacity to continue something for 90 days. Do something consistently for 90 days and you will definitely see the results, right? Be consistent. Be consistent. Don't show up today and disappear tomorrow. Don't post today and disappear tomorrow. Even when you post and nobody likes it and nobody comments, trust me, people are watching. Keep adding value. Don't just post your product. Post testimonials about your product, right? Post reviews about your product. Post testimonials that your customers have given to you. You can also post behind the scene making process of your product, right? Alternate the kind of things you post about. And even when you post and nobody seems to like it or nobody seems to comment, do not give up, because trust me, they are watching and they are going to come. You know, I've had cases where I see someone posting, let's say, for example, Kunu Aya, and I see that this lady is posting Kunu Aya, and I really do not need Kunu Aya at that moment. But I remember my child's birthday was coming up and I was like, let me order Kunu Aya from this person. I went online, searched this person, found her because the name stuck in my head. And when I found her, I discovered that she has not posted about Kunu Aya for a very long time. And by the time I entered her DM, she was like, oh, I'm not doing that business again. And that's the problem. By the time you need to post more to register yourself in people's minds. But the question is, when they come looking for you, will you still be there? Or you would have stopped and switched to something else? And then by the time that next thing registers, you have also given up and switched to something else again. So it's very important that you stay consistently on something long enough to make an impression, long enough to make a mark, right? Before you give up, right? That is if you give up, don't give up. And finally, on my list today is this: you need to be willing to learn and adjust. Yes, you need to be willing to learn and adjust. If this is what I'm offering, but I need to tweak it a little bit, because I think my customers would prefer this. And I always tell people, Don't always focus on what you prefer as a person. Focus on what your customers prefer, right? So learn to adjust, learn to adapt, learn new skills. You need to be able to adjust, adapt in order for you to sell more, in order for you to do more stuff, right? These things are very, very, very important. Now, if you found value, let me know in the comment section. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe as well. My name is Coach Onyinye Okoye, and I'll definitely see you on the next video.